covering my head not because I go to bed with my hat on, but because my hair is so rough. I'm due for a haircut. I scheduled the appointment already, so no judgments. So I recently got a question that I wish I had an answer to before coming to the United States for my master's degree. The question was posted by one of my subscribers on my previous videos, and it was a question about selecting or choosing between a thesis master's degree program and a non-thesis master's degree program. Now, what I'm going to be doing in this video is to answer that question because I know that it's going to serve a lot of people in the future. Okay, so if you're interested in coming to the United States and you're not sure if you should get into a thesis program or a non-thesis program, watch this video to the end, okay, because I have valuable answers for you in this video. Okay, now let's get started with the obvious. Okay, so what is the difference between a thesis master's degree program and a non-thesis master's degree program? The idea behind thesis master's degree program, as far as my understanding is concerned, is that it is meant to give you a chance to contribute something significant to your field of study. Okay, a thesis is basically answering a question that has not been explored or that is not fully understood. Okay, that's the idea behind master's degree, the thesis program. Okay, be it PhD, be it master's degree. Now, the difference between the master's thesis and the PhD thesis is that PhD thesis answer like several questions from different perspectives. It takes longer period of time to explore answers to those questions. Why a master's degree thesis might just answer one question or a sub question. Basically, it's a new knowledge, but it's not. You're not looking at it from different angles. You're not trying to go really, really deep. Okay, even though you're contributing something new to the field. Now, for masters, for a coursework master's degree program, the idea is very simple. You get a lot of coursework. You get like classes, you take classes, and then once you complete the classes that you're supposed to take, you get your master's degree. It's as simple as that. It is very similar to your undergrad experience. The only difference being that you're just going to be taking courses that are much more advanced. You're going to be exploring the advanced aspects of the class that you're taking. Okay, so if you've taken, say, molecular biology as an undergrad, when you get to grad school and you're talking about molecular biology, it is at a very advanced level. Now, take note that the idea is that you should know every didactic knowledge. I don't know if that's correct, but the idea behind master's degree is that you should know every single thing in your field of study. What that means is that if we're talking about a particular signaling pathway, for example, it means that by the time you're done with your master's degree, you should know everything that is to be known, everything that has been known, well, everything that has been discovered about that particular pathway, right? At master's level, you've mastered it, basically, okay? So that's the idea. The difference between a master's coursework and master's thesis is that for coursework, you are basically taking coursework, right, to complete the requirement for your degree, while for thesis, you're exploring you're exploring answer to a particular question that you have. Now, which one should you go for, and why should you go for either a coursework program or a thesis program? Truth is, the answer is complicated, but I'll do my best to explain as much as I can. Now, the first thing you should know is that if you are interested in funding, if you want your program to be funded, if you don't have money like I am, if you're from my part of the world where you don't have money, your chances of getting funded increases significantly if you enroll or if you get accepted into a thesis program. Reason being that professors are always looking for people to work in their lab, right? So if they see that you are intellectually capable, that you have potentials, they allow you to come into the lab to learn, and then you help them do experiments and things like that. You learn science, you improve your skills as well, and they sponsor your education basically with the funding they get from the government. Think of NIH funding and all different sorts of funding. So that's a huge benefit that comes with getting into a thesis program. Now, most coursework program, depending on what you're studying, right? Depending on your field of study, most coursework program would probably not throw a tuition waiver at you. Most coursework program will ask you to pay some sort of tuition, but there's always a way around things like that as well. If you've not seen my video about how I got full funding for my master's degree, I did the video as a collaboration with Aladiako. You can go around the channel and check it out. I might link it somewhere in this video. Now, if funding is crucial to you getting here, you might want to think about getting into a thesis program, because as long as you get accepted in the thesis program, a professor is basically saying, I would be his sponsor. I'm going to be paying his tuition. I'm going to be giving him some stipend, right? So you're covered for the duration of your education if you get into a thesis program. Professors don't want students that are not brilliant. Professors don't want students that are not interested in the question they are trying to answer. So I said this is where the trick comes in, because when you are writing your SOP, if you're interested in a particular professor, you have to write your SOP in such a way that it aligns with the question that the professor is exploring. Which brings me to the point that you must also be interested in something before you think of a thesis program. In the sense that if you know what you're interested in, let's say you're interested in developmental biology, you're interested in neuroscience, things like that, and you have a question that you would like to get answers to, it becomes easier for you to search for professors in that particular research area and then reach out to them personally and see if they'll be interested in taking you on as their student or not. Now, what are the benefits and what are the advantage of getting into a thesis program as against getting into a coursework program? It is very simple. The first of which is funding. Okay, if you're interested in a question, you are lucky enough to get into a particular lab, you get funded for your education. And as someone that recently graduated from grad school, I can tell you, funding goes a long way. It determines how focused you're going to be on your program, because financial stress is a real stress. Okay, so if you're able to get funding, get it. Now, it is not just all about money. If you're not interested in research, it becomes an issue, because if you get into a lab, you're not interested in research, there are high tendencies that you're going to get kicked out. And that's like the most awful thing that can happen to you in grad school. So the point is, you have to ask yourself, are you interested in research in the first instance? It's not just about the money. It's not just about the funding. Are you interested in research in the first instance? Because if you're not interested, even if you find your way in, nobody will tell you before you find your way out. Okay, so think about it, right? Are you interested in research? Do you really need some sort of funding for your education? Think of courses like biology, which is my field of interest. Think of courses like chemistry. Think of courses like physics and things like that. Life science, basically. The thing with life science is that it is easy to get stuck in the idea of having the certificate. It is easy to get stuck in the idea of, oh, I have a master's degree in biology. But the question is, what can you do with a master's degree in biology? What can you show? What can you do? What skills can you bring to the table? And at the end of the day, employers are not really interested in your master's degree. I mean, to an extent, they believe it shows that you're smart, because most people don't have a master's degree. But on the other side, they want to see what you can do. Do you have any skills? That is where your time doing research becomes beneficial, because if you have a thesis master's degree, right, which that means you must have done some sort of research, right? That means you must have spent some time in a research laboratory. That means you must have picked up some skills. You might not be the best, like it might not be like expert level, but you're better off having those skills, right? Alongside your thesis, alongside your certificates, you're better off having those skills as well. So that's something you should also think of. Think of what you intend to do with your degree. Think of how the type of skills that you need to pick up and how you can use that skills and your degree in the industry or in your next pursuit generally. With that said, it's gonna appear as if I lean towards the thesis option, which is true. The point that I want you to think about is the fact that thesis option takes longer time. It is not as fast as the coursework option. It takes time. Averagely, people spend 2.5 years or 3 years getting a master's degree. And most of the time, the thesis option is considered a stepping stone into a PhD program. Okay, so most people that get most people that have like a thesis, that gets to the thesis option, it is the tendency of them getting into a PhD program or continuing into a PhD program is very, very high. So the standard is extremely high for people in a thesis option because their professor is basically grooming them for a PhD program. Whereas for coursework program, you're not really going through all of that stress. You're going to take the regular classes, cram if you can cram and pass, and that's it. A's and B's and A's, right? But for thesis, you have to come up with a research plan. You have to come up with a research proposal, talk to your committee, form a committee, talk to your committee, do the actual research, and defend your results. So these things are very, very similar to PhD, and it's not easy, right? But if you think about the end goal, if you think about why you are doing it in the first instance, then it becomes easier for most people. Yes, so that's my bits about choosing between thesis and non-thesis program. Obviously, my contribution is a bit biased because I'm in the life science program, which means this video might not necessarily be applicable to people that are think of MPH or maybe computer science degree, or I can't think of more options now, but I do strongly believe that most of what I've said in this video applies perfectly for those that are in the life science field. So if that is your domain, take the things that I've said in this video very, very serious, because it's going to help you at some point in the future. Okay, so that's all I have for you in this video. If you have any question about master's degree thesis, a thesis master's degree, a non-thesis master's degree, or generally master's degree in the United States, do not forget to drop a question in the comment box, and also do not forget to subscribe to this channel because your contribution or your contribution and participation encourages me to put out more videos and also to answer your questions. Okay, so that's it, and I'll see you in the next video.